In a world brimming with abundance, it is a moral failure that millions are still struggling to meet their most basic needs, such as food, water, shelter, and healthcare. These are the cornerstones of survival, and they're often treated as commodities to be bought rather than rights that should be protected. The truth is, we produce more than enough to meet the needs of everyone on this planet, which is why the basics for survival should be free. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization, the world produces enough food to feed 10 billion people. Yet around 828 million go hungry. And it isn't a supply problem. It's a problem of distribution, inequality, and profit. And the same is true for housing. While there are around 500,000 homeless Americans, there are over 16 million vacant housing units. And globally, there are more empty homes than homeless people. Necessities like food, housing, and clean drinking water should be provided to everyone for free. It's not a scarcity problem, but a systemic failure. Necessities must stop being treated like commodities. According to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights adopted by the United Nations, everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for the health and well-being of himself and of his family, including food, clothing, housing, and medical care. And guaranteeing free access to food, water, shelter, and healthcare isn't just a moral imperative, it's actually smart policy. Healthier populations, economic efficiency, and education and productivity are just some of the benefits that come with providing the necessities for life. Societies that invest in basic needs have lower crime rates, better mental health, and higher life expectancy. The U.S. spends more on healthcare than any other nation, yet it ranks poorly on outcomes. Universal basic services reduce long-term costs. However, there are still some critics that worry what it means to make basic survival free. First, there's the myth of laziness. However, studies have shown that in areas with universal basic income, people actually became more engaged. And then there's also concerns about tax burdens. And yes, funding free essentials does require collective investment. But with the government already subsidizing massive industries like fossil fuels, banks, and military to the tune of trillions, redirecting just a fraction of that spending could provide housing and food security for all. There's also concern about government overreach. But if not the government, a body by and for the people, then whose job is it? Private charities and markets alone have not solved these problems in centuries, so it's time for a new approach. So how do we make this happen? Well, first we must establish what the minimum required for survival looks like. This is simple, nutritious, basic meals, clean water, and modest housing. It doesn't have to be mansions and gourmet cuisine. And the pathway to get there will include things like policy change. Legislation is one of the most powerful tools we have. We should support laws that expand universal health care, rent control, and housing first programs. We must elect leaders who prioritize human rights and who reject corporate PAC money and support Medicare for all, the Green New Deal, and livable minimum standards. Also, strengthening mutual aid and community infrastructure can be incredibly powerful. Reallocating existing resources means that there won't be new taxes. Redirecting those subsidies and tax breaks away from billionaires and oil companies and toward basic human needs can make this type of world livable. And most importantly, we must shift the narrative. Perhaps the most radical change is a cultural one. We must stop seeing survival as something to earn and begin talking loudly and often about needs as rights and not privileges. Ensuring that everyone has food, water, shelter, and healthcare doesn't guarantee paradise, but it does create a world where people are no longer dying preventable deaths in the name of profit. Once everyone has a firm foundation, we can truly begin building a just, creative, and thriving society, and it all begins with believing that everyone deserves to live. Thanks for watching. Get out there and vote, and let's work together to build a better future.